Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome, fellow jerks to society. Welcome, all you rock dwellers. Welcome, all you hateful people who celebrate the president. Welcome to all of you. It's really not hard to view Trump supporters as racist. That comes from Beto O'Rourke. Whoever you are, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. And joining me as my co-host is the president and CEO of Frontiers of Freedom, and that is George Landreth. George, welcome to Conservative Commandos.
It's great to be here. This is the place to be. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Well, George, it's always great to share these microphones with you. And, you know, George, as crazy as this world is, as crazy as the political climate in this country is, as crazy as some of these protesters like the ones out in Portland, Oregon are, there may be a little bit of civility, even a little bit of civility left in the Democrat Party.
Yeah, well, they're not getting a lot of radio time or airtime or print time at the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, or MSNBC. But you're right. There are some out there. Read some interesting articles from folks in kind of America's heartland. That's from people who said, I'm not a Trump supporter, but I might vote for him this time because, wow, these people on the other side are crazy. And then in some cases, people just saying, why can't we be more civil than we're being? And yet, on the other hand, you've got the people who write the algorithms, for your various social media, who basically want to ban anybody who's conservative, shut them up, make sure they don't have a chance to speak. And we even see this now. It's getting into beauty contests. A couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was a month or two, because sometimes time flies too fast when you're having fun and you're busy. But there was a beauty contestant who won in Michigan, who ultimately was, disqualified after having won because of a tweet that she had something to say positive about Donald Trump. And now this has happened again this week in Nevada. Same result. So it's just like, I don't recall ever saying to myself, if there's some liberal chick out there who's in a beauty contest, I want to make sure she loses. The only people who can win need to be, conservatives. And yet that's clearly what the other side's now doing. They've decided this is the way to go. And it shows a lack of, civility. It's just, it's basically this it's the intolerant left, and they always act like, oh, we're so tolerant and blah, blah, blah. And
loving,
they're not tolerant at all.
Trusting, honest, understanding, right. Forgiving. Oh, unless you disagree with them, that is.
Right. Yeah.
There are all those things if you agree with them, but if you disagree with them, they'll pull your Miss Nevada or
yeah. I saw a poll that managers, like 1 in 5 managers, say that they would not hire someone who's qualified for the job if they knew they were a Trump supporter. So you work at you're an accountant, and they won't hire you because you voted for Donald Trump.
Let me play devil's advocate for a minute. What if I didn't want to hire someone, maybe a young person, maybe I didn't want to hire someone because I wanted to hire somebody intelligent. I wanted my business to succeed, and I didn't want to hire a young person who had their minds corrupted by all this socialism. There are 47% of the people, George. 47% of the people, and we're going to have a guest on tomorrow to talk about this. 47% of Americans now say they want to live in a socialist society. George, 47%.
That's scary.
That's within a margin of error of half the country.
Right.
But what if I didn't want to hire that person because, if that's the way they felt, they surely did not have the intelligence to work for me.
Well, I don't think that's unreasonable, but I don't think you would express it as I won't hire someone. If someone said, would you be willing to hire a person who voted for a Democrat, I don't know that you'd say no. You do want to know more about them. But what you've described is you want people who are enterprising, hardworking, and that's fine. But so my point though is let's assume you interviewed someone and they were hardworking, they were enterprising, but you also realized that either they or their family were, Democrats. So would you then say, oh, well, never mind, I'm firing him?
I'd hire him. I'd sit him right there. And I'd let them listen and watch the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Educate them a little bit.
Educate them a little bit. Yeah,
that's my point. Is I think there's a difference in approach there. But I think that's why Donald Trump won in 2016, despite of the polls saying he was going to lose. Mm-hmm. I think that that lack of civility, that the deplorables, all the kind of the anybody
everything I read at the beginning of the show, the deplorables, dregs of society, rock dwellers, hateful people who celebrate the president. It's really hard not to view Trump supporters as a racist. And these are the people who are supposed to be or want to be leaders of our country. These are coming from Joe Biden. These are coming from Hillary Clinton. These are coming from Elizabeth Warren. They're coming from Beto O'Rourke. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
All people who want to be president. And I still think Hillary still wants to be.
Yeah, well, but I think
it's good to know. It's good to know that there are some people out there who still believe in civility. It's good to know that there are some people out there that, in spite of the potential of being trashed by their friends, their relatives, their neighbors, their coworkers, because they believe in Donald Trump, they still see Donald Trump as the architect of one hell of an economy right now, George, and we'll talk about that with one of our guests in a little bit. But we've got one hell of an economy going right now, George. People are making money. People are working. Things are going well. People are spending money, which is a very good thing. Hey, I bought gas the other day for $2.50 a gallon. Remember Barack Obama said, we're never going to drill our way back to $2.50 a gallon gas?
Yeah. Guess what?
And that was after a big tax hike. I still pay $2.50 a gallon.
Right. Well, the interesting thing is, Donald Trump evidently has a magic wand. Because I'm pretty sure that Barack Obama and Joe Biden said that there's no way the economy could get any hotter, any better than it was during the 8 years they served. And they wanted to know sarcastically, what magic wand does he have? And I want to know, what magic wand does he have? I want to make sure every president has that magic wand.
Well,
Don't you?
George, I heard an economist on C-SPAN talk about this exact same thing, about what did Trump have that Obama didn't? What is Trump that Obama isn't? And what he said, it made sense. It's not the people, but it's the policies of those people. And we could start with Trump's tax cut. Heck, that was a boost to every American.
Yeah. Well, it also included opportunity zones, which increased investment in inner cities and in rural depressed America as well. So the point is, one of the reasons why probably black unemployment is so low is because we've seen investment in places where you may have minority populations disproportionately getting more investment. That's going to help them.
Well, I think it's investment.
If he were a racist, why would he include that?
Well, George, I think it was opportunity and investment in general, and the old adage, the rising tide raises all boats. Well, there you go. There you go. It wasn't one group or another that is doing better. Everybody is doing better. But they did try to make sure there'd be some impetus for investment in areas that were predominantly minority groups. And I'm fine with that. I'm not worried, because I think that's, if you want to lift people, then you do it by encouraging there to be investment there. But you're right, tax cuts helped everyone. And when you raise all boats, there, what's there to complain about? But like I said, if he's a racist, he's a bad racist. He's got to work on his craft, because come on.
You've got record low unemployment for blacks, for Hispanics, for women, and all these different minority groups. Supposedly he hates, and he's out there making sure they've got jobs.
All right.
How
Hey,
dare
George,
he?
I want to end this segment a little bit sooner than normal, because on the other side, I want to leave us a little bit of time to talk about. There's still a bunch of hatred and bigotry out there, and I don't mean bigotry black to white or white to black. I mean bigotry as far as ideology goes. I'm also very concerned about this BDS movement, and I want to talk about what a video of what some kids in a California high school actually did. Also, we want to tell you who our guests are and what our topics of conversation will be for today. But you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with George Landreth, and I'm Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. Today's show, like all our shows, is being brought to you by the First Amendment, protected by the Second. George and I will be right back.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And once again, we want to thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. My co-host today is George Landreth, and I am Rick Trader. And if you'd like to be a guest here on Conservative Commandos, it's simple. It's easy. Send an email to me, rick@conservativecommandosradioshow.com, rick@conservativecommandosradioshow.com. George, something a little bit disturbing. A video of California high school students giving Nazi salutes while singing a Nazi song emerged this week, marking the second time that Orange County teenagers taking anti-Semitic actions have come to light. Now, where do these kids get this idea that it's okay to sing Nazi songs and go Heil Hitler and to hate Israel? Is it because of our so-called leadership like Tlaib and Omar and Ocasio-Cortez?
Yeah, you would think so, because they certainly get lots of news. They're treated very favorably in the news, and yet they've all said, and particularly Omar and Tlaib, but AOC as well, just some outlandishly anti-Semitic things, the sorts of things that I thought, I just thought as a society we were well past all that kind of garbage. To me, it's an amazing thing. And they align themselves with groups that are openly hostile to Israel existing. So in other words, I understand if you want, people can be on all kinds of different issues. I'm pro-Israel, but I understand there might be some people say, I don't like their policy on this, or I don't like their policy on that. That doesn't make you anti-Semitic. You might say, I happen to like Benjamin Netanyahu, but if you don't, that's fine. I don't think that makes you anti-Semitic. But when you say things like that Israel shouldn't exist and they don't have a right to exist, you're absolutely an anti-Semite. Absolutely, positively, and I just, that's all there is to it. When you and the BDS movement is infiltrated with that sort of stuff, and then you look at some of the things that the people that were supporting Tlaib and Omar coming over to their special trip to Israel, they were of that type. They are clearly people of just a tremendous hatred for Israel and for Jews. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, that is not a reasonable policy distinction. If you don't agree with, maybe you think that the tax rate should be different in Israel. I don't even know what the tax rate is, but, fine, then you can argue that. And I'm not, whatever. But but when you start making it clear you hate them because they're Jews, and Talib is pretty obvious what she's up to. She wanted to, they're so mean, they won't let me visit my grandmother. And then they say, well, if you're just going to come visit your grandmother, that's fine. We'll let you visit your grandmother. Oh, no, I don't want to visit my grandmother. I'm not going to be oppressed by you.
No.
Okay.
She wanted the media. She wanted the spotlight. Yeah. Oh, look, she's in Israel. She's in Jerusalem. She's on the Temple Mount. She's going into the mosque, and that's what she wanted.
If you and I had tried that garbage, the press would have eaten us alive and said, "What do you want? First you say you want to visit your grandma. Now you don't want to visit your grandma. What's wrong with you?" Right. But because it's her, it's like, oh well, and it's ridiculous. And so I think this sort of hatred exists because of people like that.
All right. Hey, George, we've got 3 great guests joining us today.
We do.
Would you please tell our audience
I'd be very happy to.
Speaking with?
Absolutely. Well, we're going to kick things off with Curtis Houck. He is the managing editor for Newsbusters. And you've seen him on Fox News. You've seen his stuff in all kinds of publications, Fox Nation and, Daily Caller, you name it. They've even had his work's even been covered on the Rush Limbaugh show. So, and of course, here at Conservative Commando, so we are in good company. But bottom line is we're going to talk to him about some of the ways that the media has really tried to prop up Democrats, make them look reasonable and help them out in Congress. And at the same time, trying to slam the door shut on Republicans. And since they're roughly 50-50 in the two houses, the Republicans have a slight majority in the Senate. Democrats have a slight majority in the House. You'd think they might be roughly parity on those issues. But of course, we'll talk with him. And I think he's going to explain to us there ain't no parity there. All right, we'll also have Patrice Onwanka. Sorry. She is with the Independent Women's Forum, great group, and she has just done a lot of great work on a variety of issues. We'll talk about, parody, and it's a little bit of a continuation of the earlier conversation, which is the left wants to shut down the right, and you try to do a parody on AOC, and that's considered hate speech, and they got to shut you down. But I think it'll be an interesting conversation. We'll talk to Thralls about some economic issues and tax issues and things like that. And then we're going to conclude in our interview cycle with Angela Logamassini. She is with the Competitive Enterprise Institute. She does a lot of work on environmental issues, regulatory issues, consumer freedom, and so forth. And we'll talk to her about kind of, I think, what I would classify as some junk science issues and how oftentimes the government funds, kind of science. Mm-hmm. But it turns out what it is propaganda, and it's an agenda-driven thing. It's not the search of truth. And the kind of how harmful that can be. So I think we have some really good topics coming up.
Absolutely. Hey, George, there is a new poll out that shows Joe Biden has gained significantly in CNN's latest Democrat presidential primary poll, while California Senator Kamala Harris saw a step back in her support. Right after those debates, Kamala Harris was seen as, it's surprising, George, how fast these things change. Because right after the debate, she went ahead a few points, and right away, she's the rising star. The old man Biden, he's not dead yet.
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple things that happened there. I think that Gabbert's attack on her about all the things that she did as a prosecutor that weren't particularly friendly to the black community in her own state have come back to hurt her. And Joe Biden actually has pretty good support in the black community. So I think that's part of what you're seeing is she was attracting some of that support after the first debate when she spent her time talking about busing. I'm not sure why busing is so popular because blacks didn't like it either. But having said that, the second debate, she got kind of dumped on and was totally unprepared. I don't know why, because she should have been. And that's hurt her. And the reality is she's a little bit of a, and I would argue, empty suit. And I think that's coming through. Now, Joe Biden's succeeding largely because he's not out campaigning actively. He's, his campaign. So, I mean, that's the joke there is that, if for him to do better, he needs to be seen less, speak less, say fewer stupid things.
Oh, old Uncle Joe. I don't know about him. Hey, George, we got to take a break and get our first guest on, but you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with George Landreth and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to be talking with Curtis Hauk. He's managing director of newsbusters.org. And, you know, ladies and gentlemen, if you like television, you got to get a job with Newsbusters. But they have a new study out that cable news is the playground for congressional Democrats. And I think I'll find this interesting how, you know, we know that they're biased, but this study really points out how biased they actually are.
The real science. The real numbers.
Science. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our first guest.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Once again, we want to welcome you back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is George Landreth, President and CEO of Frontiers of Freedom. And we do have our first guest with us, and that's Curtis Houck. He serves as the managing editor of Newsbusters after almost 2 years as a news analyst in the Media Research Center's News Analyst Division. His work has been featured on various Fox News Channel programs, Breitbart, Daily Caller, Drudge Report, Fox Nation, Mark Levin, and a host of others. Curtis, welcome back to Conservative Commandos.
Good to be with you, Rick.
Curtis, we've asked you to join us to talk about a report that the Media Research Center has put out. And by the way, you guys do great work. And if I ever want a job watching TV, I'm going to come work with you. But the report, a study, cable news is a playground for congressional Democrats. Great article, and why am I not surprised?
Right. I mean, exactly. I mean, it's something that it's one of those things that you watch TV and you feel this the case. You know, you know that Democrats are on more than Republicans on CNN and MSNBC, and their question, and when Republicans are on, the questions are very difficult compared to Democrats just getting softballs. So, you know, we wanted to actually put a number to it, you know, because it's better than just saying you have a feeling about something. We like to deal in facts at the MRC, along with most people. So we decided to take a look at it. So what we did is we picked 3 randomly selected weeks when Congress was in session this year. So we picked a week in January, a week in March, and a week in June. And then we looked at every single hour of live programming, and we looked at live interviews only of members of Congress. And so we found some pretty amazing things. On CNN, the breakdown was 82 to 18, Democrat to Republican, that's percentage of the interviews. And then on MSNBC is 93 to 7. And that's despite the fact that if you add up, you know, if you look at the partisan balance between the House and the Senate, Democrats 53% of the seats and Republicans 47% of the seats. So it's pretty close to about even, as expected nowadays. But when you look at cable news, it's pretty stark, and we'll get into the questions why. But, you know, as we kind of found, you know, in the questioning, you see why Republicans don't want to go on there.
All right. Well, this is certainly a fair analyst, I would think, amounted to 540 hours of programming. Wow. The eyes at MRC must have been sore. Each network conducted virtually the same number of interviews with sitting members of Congress, both on the House side and the Senate side. 159 on MSNBC, 165 on CNN. And what a study. And it really goes to point out the fact that not only is the left-leaning liberal media leaning left, but that's all they want to talk about is the left.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's any number of issues, you know, such as the government shutdown earlier this year, in the case of the stuff at the beginning of the year, the Russia investigation, or we're trying to impeach the president, which is crazy. So then when we looked at the questions, the Republican guests faced a total of 310 questions. 50% were about, you know, weren't really 50% reflected one party or the other. And then when we looked at that, we found 97% were challenging Republicans with the Democratic agenda, versus only about, you know, 4 questions, about 2.5, so we rounded up to 3%, reflected reinforcing their own agenda, or asking them about their own policy stances from a Republican conservative perspective. Whereas with Democrats, it was 19% to 81%. 81% reinforcing their views that they share, obviously with the media, and only 19% were pushing them back with what Republicans were saying.
What about pushback? Did the Republicans give pushback on the questions that they were asked? Did the Republicans try to get their own talking points in the little opportunity that they had, that they are given?
Well, from what we saw, I mean, a lot of the time they sometimes do, but other times it's difficult, you know. I mean, or sometimes Republicans are kind of pushovers, you know. That's kind of why they.
Tell me
why
something else I don't know.
Yeah, that's something that, you know, there's a reason that they go on these things, and you sit there watching it, Rick, and you wonder why subject yourself to this? I mean, seriously. I mean, it's one thing to have a good, robust debate because that's what we do in America. That's why we're not China or Russia or you know, any number of these countries. But that's not what it is. You know, these people aren't honest brokers. So when you're not dealing with honest brokers, when not only if you're debating someone, you know, an analyst or another member of Congress from the other side, when the host, the referee, I guess, is putting their thumb on the scales, you're kind of like, not only is this not a fair fight, is this even worth my time, like, to get my face out there for my constituents? Am I doing my constituents a good job? Am I doing my party a good job? Am I doing leadership a good job? You know, there's all these questions that come when there are these interviews that are just so adversarial and pretty much rhetorical waterboarding sessions.
Right. Well, you know, Curtis, I agree with you. They're not honest, and I'll tell you why I believe they're not honest. Because they call themselves news organizations, not propaganda organizations, not partisan organizations. Like here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, we make no bones that we are partisan. We are conservative. Therefore, we have conservative guests on. But we bill ourselves that way. We call ourselves the Conservative Commandos radio show, but not CNN. You know,
right? Well, just all of talk radio.
Yeah.
All of talk radio operates this way, you know, and you look at the venom that these cable news networks hurl at the idea of talk radio, conservative talk radio. You know, there's a reason conservative talk radio exists, because it's an alternative. Because if the current media, you know, and the taxpayer-funded NPR were doing such a great job, the market would not reflect the need for talk radio or these alternative forms of media. But the media have blown it decade after decade, you know, network across network, outlet after outlet, newspaper after newspaper, that people have responded by saying, well, guess what? I'm not getting not just the news, but the perspective and the opinions that reflect an entire segment of the population. So thankfully we have the market where we are, you know, over the last few decades, people have been able to go out on their own and big and small, you know, come up with their own forms of media.
Curtis, I'm going to ask you to speculate. I know you probably don't have facts. Maybe you do. Hopefully you do. But my question was, can you see a collusion between these liberal networks, between all the alphabet networks and the Democrat Party?
Collectively, between all the networks getting together and singing from the same sheet music, I don't think so. I mean, you're not going to see ABC News call into NBC News on a conference call with the DNC and talk about it. I mean, between these networks, obviously,
but they all seem to be running with the same talking points. At least
right. I mean, I'm just saying that they aren't talking to each other.
Right.
I mean, they might be talking with, you know, the campaigns or these Democrats. And the other argument is they don't even need to sing from the same sheet music or talking points or collude, because they already think the same way. You know, I don't think it's collusion if two people think the same way that end up saying the same things without talking to each other. There's some of that there, obviously, as well, because, you know, these networks, while they all think the same, have the same guests on, reflect the same, you know, hate Trump, anti-conservative views, they, you know, they're in a ratings war themselves, and that's what you're seeing here. That which is interesting. MSNBC does quite well but between the just over 50 news programs on the 3 cable networks from 6 a.m. to midnight, CNN, their highest rated program is not even until like 26th, 27th, 28th place on a daily basis.
All right. Our guest this segment is Curtis Halkes, the managing director of newsbusters.org, and we're discussing a study that MRC has put out. Cable news is the playground for congressional Democrats. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is George Landreth. We'll be right back with our guest right after this break.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is George Landreth. And for rebroadcasts of our show, please check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. You'll find rebroadcasts of our TV show and our radio show there. Also, don't forget to like us on Facebook and on Twitter. George Landreth, our guest, is still with us. Please reintroduce him and pick up the conversation.
Absolutely. Sorry that I disappeared there for a moment. We had a lightning storm here. In fact, we're still having one.
Geez.
But so I lost power momentarily, and it was only for a moment, but long enough to shut down the internet and the computer temporarily while everything rebooted. So, but I'm back, at least until the next lightning strike. We'll see. It's probably someone at the I don't know, it's the NSA or somebody that doesn't want us to talk about conservative issues. Who knows? But yeah, we have been talking with Curtis Houck. He is managing editor at Newsbusters, and if you're familiar with the Media Research Center, they do just great work analyzing the news. And I would argue they don't show you that there's bias in the media anymore. What they show you is that these people are out and out lying, cheating, and stealing about the news. Mm-hmm. It's not nearly, but they do a great job of it. If you want to get real fact about what's going on with the media, as opposed to just kind of your general impression of how unfair it is, they have it all there in just all the details. So with that, Curtis, we are so glad to have you on the show, and I'm glad I was able to hear the last part of the last segment, but I missed the beginnings of it. Thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Well, let me just jump in and ask you this question, because you mentioned there was 540 hours of programming that was watched. I just want to make sure that the people at MRC are being treated reasonably. Did they get hazard pay for that?
I've been asked that. You know what? I've been asked that a lot recently. I was asked in another interview when I took one for the team and bought Jim Acosta's book. And I read Jim Acosta's book,
Wow.
like all 300 some pages of it.
You are committed.
I did a couple stories on it. Yeah, I know, right?
Or maybe you should be committed. I don't know, but it's either you are committed or should be.
I know, right? Maybe both. But anyway, no. I mean, thankfully for this project, with such a daunting task, we Bill Giacino and Rich Noyce did a lot of the heavy lifting, but for some of it, just kind of. Identifying people and doing the groundwork. We had our summer interns do a lot of the work to help us. So, yeah. So it was a team, and then it was a team effort in the editing process as well. So
right.
for such giant studies like this, it really is a team effort.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. It wasn't just one person who got stuck in front of a TV for that long. Well, I mean, This is what you call real science, social science research, because rather than, my impression from just, kind of watching news is precisely what you all prove every day. And I don't prove it because I just kind of like, in my opinion, they seem awfully biased to me. But you all kind of provide the evidence. You just go in and get the numbers, and numbers don't lie, and and trends don't lie. On any given day, I suppose you could play with, statistics, but the reality is trends don't lie. And these trends have been going on now for decades. So I really do appreciate the work that you all do. Is there one of the things that I find interesting is oftentimes in the media, and you can catch me if you think I'm wrong here, but they will treat like left-wing zealots like they're serious-minded mainstream public policy experts. And then you'll have somebody who, albeit might be a conservative, but they're certainly not some sort of, radical nut job, but that's how they'll be treated when they're on the evening news. It's even how they'll be introduced. I remember that, in the same show at different times, they might introduce, someone like Orrin Hatch as, ultra-conservative Senator Orrin Hatch. And then they'd introduce Ted Kennedy is just the senior senator from Massachusetts. And it's like, one, I don't know that it would be fair to call Orrin Hatch ultra conservative. And then secondly, if you're going to measure how far someone is from, quote, the center, there's no way on this planet that Ted Kennedy wasn't substantially further from the center than anyone else in the Senate. And yet they didn't treat him like that.
No, I mean, yeah, we see this on a daily basis with the cable networks, and we had a story at Newsbusters that Tim Graham did that praised our friends at the Washington Free Beacon for doing a study about the New York Times. They just picked 2 authors that write articles that run a blog called The Interpreter, and they looked at every single article that they did that began in 2016. They found, you were talking about labeling, they found 136 mentions of far right, but only 1 mention describing something or someone as far left, versus 60 mentions of right-wing politicians, but just 10 mentions of Democrats as being left-wing. So, yeah, there are numbers to back those things up, and it is helpful. You were talking about social science. I mean, just to back up, as I said in the last segment, the importance of, you feel something and you feel that something is the case and you think, you see it on a daily basis, but it's important to actually quantify that to find out, just scientifically, if your feeling is rooted in reality, obviously, because sometimes those things aren't. But in cases like this that's so overwhelming, you definitely want to put a finger on it, and so that's what we were able to do with our study looking at the bias on CNN and MSNBC.
No, I think it's very important. I was going to ask this I've had this observation before, and see if you feel like there's evidence of that as well. I think that if Ronald Reagan were still alive and a much younger man, in 2024, I have little doubt that someone like him could win the nomination. I think he's, well within the modern mainstream of what it means to be a conservative, if that makes sense to you. I would argue that someone like Bill Clinton, who used to be in the mainstream of his own party, would have little chance of getting the nomination today. I'm not even sure Barack Obama could, based on listening to some of the debates. Because Barack Obama, at least as he ran the first time, believed in traditional marriage. He wasn't suggesting we were going to have socialized medicine, etc. He was going to go through budget line by line, stuff like, crazy stuff like that. He said he would. I know he did. I never believed he would do those things. But my point is, the media makes it sound like today that America is more divided largely because somehow conservatives have become more radical. And I would argue that conservatives believe the same things they believed in 1964. The Democrats cannot make that claim. That's lunacy.
Well, yeah, and you even go further that you look at Democrats and what they think about, something that's been recently in the news about Israel, how members of Congress see the state of Israel and Jewish people. That's another issue. You're right about, Bill Clinton in the news media would just be berated. He would just be destroyed. His view about not wanting to take everyone's guns away, or wanting to reform entitlements, or his entire speech where he comes out and says the era of big government is over. That would, CNN, MSNBC would spontaneously combust. Like, they would just lose. The meltdown would be of biblical proportions if a Democrat got up there at a major speech like the State of the Union and said those sorts of things, or the idea that the entitlements are bankrupting us and that we need to reform them and slow the rates of growth in spending. The nerve of that. Welfare, the idea that people shouldn't be on welfare, dependent on welfare for long stretches of their lives, and that people who come into this country, that we should know who comes into this country, and people that come into this country should do it through the front door and do it legally. Those sorts of things would just be laughed out. That would be insane. And obviously with Barack Obama, the way Obama ran, not talking about socialized medicine in 2008 and being for traditional marriage, I'm sure that was enough for a lot of people to want to vote for Barack Obama in 2008, and those sorts of things. So, the news media would just, I don't know about Barack Obama, but definitely 1992 version of of Bill Clinton would just totally be discounted, and he would be fetching 0% in the polls.
Just one other thing I was going to ask about, and that is when you look at, I remember listening to press conferences with Barack Obama, and it was sometimes I felt like the questions were kind of like, isn't it difficult to be so awesome and not have everybody in the entire country appreciate how awesome you are?
Right.
And then he'd go, yeah, it's pretty difficult. But I've never heard that question or anything like it posed to Donald Trump. It's usually, why are you colluding with the Russians? Why would you do that? Why are you a Russian operative? Why are you, it's just these, how long have you beat your wife?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you would think these are two extremes. You would think that there would be some sort of middle ground in there, but the news media aren't there. They prove themselves incapable of doing that. The one that I think of during the Barack Obama years was Jeff Zeleny. He was with the New York Times at the time, and now he's with CNN. He asked Barack Obama at the end of his 100 days in office, what has enchanted you the most about the presidency? I mean, enchanted. What has enchanted you the most? And it was treated like a real question. And yet, then you go over to Jim Acosta yelling at Donald Trump. You would think that there should be some sort of middle ground in here, but called journalism. But unfortunately, the train has left the station on that one.
Yeah, it really has. It looks like we are running up against the clock here. Am I right on that one?
You are right, George.
All righty. Well, Curtis, maybe my last question will be this. How can folks follow your work specifically, but even the bigger work of, the Media Research Center, all the various things that you all do?
Right. Newsbusters.org, newsbusters.org.
Newsbusters.org?
We have content, 24/7. We have people working different shifts, so no matter what time of the day you come to check us out, we'll have some new content for you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. It's been great to have you. These are important issues. I think people have to understand it's not just a bunch of upset conservatives whining about media coverage. There's actually fact behind it. And you might have heard that thunder behind me.
Yeah, George, you're having a thunderstorm down there, I think.
Yeah. I wasn't lying when I said that. You just heard that.
There you are.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Well, I guess we're up against the break, so we'll take a break here. But I want to remind you all, you're listening to Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landreth with Rick Trader, the original Conservative Commando. And we are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos radio network, which is broadcast all across this great nation from sea to shining sea, and also on the AUN TV network. And, of course, always on Al Gore's amazing internet. Don't go away. Rick and I'll be right back.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The secret war is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And once again, we want to thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is George Landreth. Want to give a shout out to the folks who listen to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, and Washington, D.C., and seen on the AUN television network in places like San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, Wine Country, and Silicon Valley in Northern California. And with that, George, our next guest is with us. Please make her feel welcome.
Absolutely. Well, here at Conservative Commandos, we're very, very happy to have Patrice Lee Onwuka with us. Now, just so you know, kind of a little about our background, I will just give that to you. First, she's a senior policy analyst at the Independent Women's Forum. She also has worked just for really a decade or more in advocacy and communications fields. Before she joined the Independent Women's Forum, she was a national spokeswoman and communications director for Generation Opportunity. She also worked at the Philanthropy Roundtable and for the Fund for American Studies, both in policy and media roles. So she's somebody who knows policy, and at the same time, she's somebody who also understands how to communicate it and talk about it, which is great because we have a radio show to do. So we're excited about that. So with that, Patrice, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos.
Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure to be on today.
Absolutely. You've written a really good article talking about Twitter banning of Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, and there's a parody, and apparently somehow that parody is banned. And let's talk a little bit about why that would be the case. Because I thought parody was a form of comedy. It was a form of comment and commentary. it's all these things. Political cartoons have always been parodies.
They certainly have
going
been.
back to our founding.
Well, sure. Certainly, The Onion has a very strong presence online, including on Twitter. But unfortunately, if you are conservative or if you are potentially parodying a Democratic or a left-leaning candidate, lawmaker, it seems like there's no room for comedy. And so you see here, you've got this parody website of AOC, and they've been banned. This is not the first time we've seen some other conservative groups be banned, unfortunately. And I think it's a little bit exposing the bias, unfortunately, that the right has on social media. When you start to gain a little bit of prominence, you have a few more followers and that little blue check sign on your Twitter page, suddenly you become a target. And unfortunately, I think it's a missed opportunity for those social media platforms that claim to be a place of free thought and for free expression.
Right. No, that's a good point. I was commenting to Rick before we got you on the line that, to me, Saul Alinsky points out the value or the power of ridicule and kind of poking fun at the opposition. And it seems to me that they don't have a very low tolerance for this because they understand its impact. In other words, how dare you make fun of our side? And if you think about it, Saturday Night Live didn't, they had one or two skits on Hillary, where she was made fun of, and then they kind of stopped, but Donald Trump, it was always funny, right? He was, never, and I kind of feel like we're in an era in which comedy is only going to be basically about the right. The left won't allow itself to be parodied, poked fun at, any of that kind of thing. It's kind of weird because I think you see this. I've seen a lot of comedians say the left has ruined comedy.
Yeah, everyone from Jerry Seinfeld to Chris Rock. A lot of these guys who've been in the business for decades, they recognize now they can't use comedy to talk about social issues, and I think that was something that you saw. Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, some of those guys do, which was they talked about the Black community and the failings of policies there and some of the things that they grew up seeing. Now those jokes would be totally offensive because we have a snowflake culture that's not just on college campuses. It's now taken over every community. And so you've got those who claim offense every time something is said, and you've got those who are so scared to say anything because they don't want to offend others. And comedy it could be a great place for healing, for bringing people together to see, our weaknesses, our strengths, our differences, and to laugh at it and move forward. But yeah, the left has taken the air out of the whoopee cushion at this point.
Yeah. Well, it used to be that comedy was also kind of, if you will, a soft way of making your point.
Yeah.
I remember Ronald Reagan would often make a point that could be fairly, if someone had said, what was the point of that joke? It might be to say that the Democrats are full of garbage. But if he just stood up one time and said, the Democrats are full of garbage, that wouldn't have gone over well. But he told kind of a funny story. It was a humorous thing, and people could kind of chuckle. And if they didn't agree with the point of it, they still thought it was a funny joke and so forth. We don't really live in that world anymore.
No, nothing is funny. Nothing can be funny. And it's, because part of it, I think, is this victimization culture where everybody wants to be a victim. And so anything that's said means, I'm aggrieved because you're talking about me personally. Well, frankly, some things need to be said to people about their behaviors, about their lifestyles, about their choices, the policies that they come up with. And then some things, really do go over the line. But at this point, the line has been pulled so close in that there's no point in it anymore. So, it's sad what I see is happening because, now you can't even watch some of those classic movies. I think I referenced the Blues Brothers earlier today on another program. And the Blues Brothers would totally be inappropriate today. But what a great movie that brought together white guys with soul and black communities and the black church community. I mean, it's unfortunate where we are right now.
No, you make a good point. Let's get back to this question of AOC and what's the issue there with her. I mean, so in theory, you could have a parody that's really coarse and inappropriate, and we could all agree, yeah, that was an attempt to be funny, but it was really just gross, and we shouldn't do that. But what was the nature of this particular parody? Was it of that nature?
I don't think it was. I'm actually just pulling it up right now, so I have it in front of me.
In my recollection, it wasn't at all.
I don't think it was. Very often it isn't. I think it may have just been something that, just talking generally about what she said. We talk about the idea of progressive privilege, which is the larger idea that people on the left are treated with soft kid gloves, including AOC. It just really talked about, put some things out there about her. Nothing particularly nasty or negative. It literally just took her own words and and put them back out there. So if something was negative or offensive, it came from her own mouth, and they were just highlighting that.
Interesting. One of the things I kind of the way the left does things, I think it was Kellyanne Conway referred to and said, she was clearly being facetious because she said Antifa actually stands for against the First Amendment, and someone fact checked that and said and said that's not actually true. She's not telling the truth, and it's like, I think she was making a point. She wasn't arguing that's in fact what it stands for. It's just, anyhow. It's kind of like when someone says the NFL stands for the No Fun League. That's not actually what it stands for, and you're not lying if you say that. You're just making a critique of some of the rule changes that you think maybe have not been that helpful. It's just kind of a weird world we live in where that becomes the basis for saying, oh, no, you can't do that.
Cynicism. You can be cynical. You can actually be making a joke to try to make a point, which is what we're talking about here. And, Kellyanne Conway, God bless her. And I say that because she has taken people have really parodied her, but even beyond parody, you've got Jim Carrey, who created.
And one or two of those parodies were really distasteful, by the way. I remember there was one that was like gross, like sexually gross.
And I think SNL kicked it off when they talked about her, compared her to someone who's really obsessive and, some kind of almost borderline serial killer. Even when Sarah Huckabee Sanders was still press secretary, the stuff that folks on the left in Hollywood came after her with was really terrible. And so at the Independent Women's Forum, we actually launched a campaign talking about champion women. This is saying, listen, left, right, or center, if a woman is denigrated in the media, we all need to say, no, it's wrong. Now, parodying is one thing, but, saying that she looks like a sister wife, some of the harsh, nasty personal attacks are totally unacceptable. And if they had been lodged against Hillary Clinton in 2016, the left, the media would have come out swinging. Saying that conservatives are sexist and offensive, et cetera, et cetera. So the same standard ought to be applied to conservative women who are in the public eye, particularly those who have the last name Trump or who work in the Trump administration.
Yeah, very, very good point. We're up against the break, so we got to part just for a second. We'll be right back, and our listeners can Rick will jump in and be involved in the conversation. Just a reminder, though, you're listening or viewing the Conservative Commandos, as the case may be. I'm George Landreth. Of course, Rick Trader, the original Conservative Commando, is also with me. And I want to remind you that you can also watch us on the AUN TV network. And, of course, if you don't happen to be near a broadcast tower of either the radio or television variety, you can always catch us on Al Gore's amazing internet. Don't go away. We'll be right back after these messages.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And once again, we want to thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is George Landreth. And if you'd like to be a guest here on Conservative Commandos, or if you'd like to have us try to get someone on who you'd like to hear from, please send an email to me. It's rick@conservativecommandosradioshow.com. I know it's long, but it's easy. rick@conservativecommandosradioshow.com. We're always looking for terrific guests like our present guest, and that's Patrice Lee Onwunka. She's the Senior Policy Analyst at the Independent Women's Forum. Patrice, thank you for holding through that break. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem, Rick. Always a pleasure to be on.
Yeah, I just wanted to dovetail in with what you and George were talking about the parodies, and that this parody that of AOC that was banned on Twitter. Not only did Twitter go after this parody, but they, according to your article, went after the guy that created it too, banned his account.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did. So it was really a coordinated effort to shut him down and send a message, I think, that certain accounts are not going to be acceptable. And now this guy was not a Russian bot, by the way, folks. This guy was just a guy who put out comedy, and he literally used her words and put them back online. And so, Jack Dorsey, who's the founder of Twitter, said that in the past they've probably been a little bit too quick to ban conservatives. Mm-hmm. But I really hope that they have some sort of plan in place to demonstrate that they are not doing it in a concerted way. Because boy, oh boy, the best way to undermine a product is for you to start using it in a way that harms your personal opposition.
All right. Wanted to talk with you about a couple of other articles that you have written. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware of the Independent Women's Forum and the good work that they do, you really need to check out the IWF.org, IWF.org. Patrice, you wrote another article. Kamala Harris should not axe our tax cuts. And I think you've made a terrific argument here, a terrific case here of how beneficial these tax cuts have been to the majority of America, how they would hurt America if they were repealed. And furthermore, we hear this mantra today about the economy. We hear about a possible recession, but the economy is going great, and I wonder if it isn't the old cry fire in a theater.
Yeah,
theory.
Exactly, Rick. Cry fire in a theater. You get everybody up, running, and racing to the doors, and then somebody gets hurt, and now you actually cause a problem that wasn't there before. Right. So last week I understand that we saw the Dow Jones Industrial and the NASDAQ, other stock market indicators, point dropped over 800 points in one day, in a couple of days. It was a rough week last week. And then on top of that, you've got the tariffs and the standoff between the United States and China. And so we've had some mixed economic data. But as I pointed out in one article just yesterday, there are a good 5 key indicators that really point to the strength of our economy. And the number one is the consumer confidence. It's the amount, the consumer spending. Consumers are opening their wallets this summer. They are spending. It was up almost nearly a point from last month. And it tells us that we as moms and dads, as people who have money in their pockets, we have confidence that we have a job, that we can get a job if we need one, that we have enough money in our paychecks to go out and buy clothes, go on that summer vacation, eat out at a restaurant, maybe buy some durable goods for a new house that you're putting your down payment on. And that is what powers our economy. So when I hear those different networks saying recession, 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 I know it's just a political tool. It's not an economic tool argument they're making. It's a political tool to scare people because, unfortunately, I think the left does not have enough to run on in 2020 against both President Trump and conservatives.
Well, Patrice, I also think that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yes. They want to destroy the Trump economy because these people are on the left are ruthless. They're going to do and they're going to say everything and anything they can to make Trump look bad. And the one thing that everybody, even if they don't like Trump, can point to right now is the economy. So yes. By crashing the economy, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Another thing, Patrice, as you say, the stock market went down. You know what? That's what the stock market does. Goes yes. up, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down. But it's kind of like a stairs leading to the second floor. You have ups and downs, but eventually it gets you to the top. Now, when the stock market comes down, I think people also need to realize that means that money was taken out of the stock market and it was put in other opportunities. For instance, like bonds, like precious metals. Mm-hmm. The stock market is an indicator of our economy, but it's not the only indicator of our economy. The other thing is people only lose in the stock market when they sell low. By and large, right. if they hang on, the stock market will rebound and they'll make a lot of money in the end anyway. So this is my analyst of the stock market, Patrice. I'm not a financial analyst, but the things that I'm saying, does the kind of match what your research tells you?
It does. Let's take a big picture look at this. If you are, 30, 40 years from retirement, this is not the time to freak out over volatility in the stock market. You understand you're taking a long-term approach. And when we compare the last day of the Obama administration, the stock market then to where we are today, we're probably over 5,000 points higher than we are. Don't quote me on that.
I think it was 17,000 the day that Donald Trump went into the White House the day that everybody called for gloom and doom and a tremendous crash. I think it was 17,000. It's near like 25,000 now.
Yeah,
so
we
about
just
8,000.
closed above 25,000.
Yeah,
That's
there
a
you go.
tremendous amount of
Sure
gain, and
is.
so you're going to have some give back from time to time. Now, when we talk about recessions from an economic standpoint, it's just a cyclical argument that, you know, we've had a tremendous 10-year run of economic growth. And by the way, it wasn't always just a straight trajectory up. It was pretty feeble during the Obama administration, which they said we couldn't get better than 2% growth. Well,
Right.
now we're hitting 3% or more. I mean, 2.7 last quarter. But
Right.
we're hitting strong, consistent growth right now because of cutting taxes, because of deregulation. And so, yes, Democrats and the media, who is complicit with them, are going to do everything to undermine this economy because they don't have anything to run on. The Mueller investigation fell flat. So now they've got to try to find something else. And if you can't hit somebody, where do you want to hit Americans? In their wallets. And unfortunately, I don't think this is going to work because even the 200 economists that were just surveyed said, yeah, we don't see anything happening this year, maybe next year, likely in 2 years from now. But even then, they don't know for sure.
No, they don't. Patrice Lee Onwunka, we want to thank you so much for joining us here on the Conservative Commandos radio show. Always enjoy having you on as well as the other ladies at the IWF. But please tell our audience how they could follow your work and the work of the Independent Women's Forum.
Visit iwf.org. We've got everyday content from policy to law to economics, and we break it down in a way that makes sense for you. So we hope that you guys will go and visit.
All right, indeed. Great advice. Again, Patrice, thank you for joining us. Take care and God bless. And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show with George Landreth and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to be talking about children's environmental health programs translate into junk science. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our next guest.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And once again, we want to thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with George Landreth and yours truly, Rick Drader. And for rebroadcast, check out our website, ccrshow.com. At ccrshow.com. Be sure to like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And with that, George, we do have our next guest with us, and the honor of the introduction is yours.
Fair enough. Well, I am very pleased on behalf of both Rick and I to introduce and welcome to the show Angela Logomassini. She is a senior fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. Really good organization, CEI.org. She specializes in environmental risk, regulation, and consumer freedom. And if you've been following her work, you've seen her on her stuff at Forbes, the Huffington Post, the New York Post, Wall Street Journal, and many other places. She's one of the editors of CEI's book, The Environmental Source, and she's appeared on television programs, CNN, CNBC, C-SPAN, Fox Business, and many, many radio shows, of course, including the Conservative Commandos. So with that, Angela, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio and now television show.
Great. Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. We're very glad to have you on. You've written a really interesting article that I think, people are naturally concerned about children and they care about children. I think that's normal. I think it's if you're an adult and you don't have if you saw a child wandering around that was lost or in danger, any decent human being would stop and help. But the problem, as I see it, is so often the left uses that against us to kind of just distort and do crazy, stupid stuff. And I think a little bit that's kind of where you're going with some of your article, explaining kind of how that happens. So with that, I'm just going to let you kind of explain what they've been up to and kind of how the government uses those instincts that we have naturally against us.
Yeah, it's a movement that started a long way back during, I think, the Clinton years, where they decided they were going to tie environmental issues to children's health so that they could push forward their agenda that in a lot of ways is completely unrelated to children's health. It's certainly worthy for us to be exploring what things in the environment might harm our children and how do we manage them. But when you start lumping everything in there and making all kinds of claims, the real problems get lost in the shuffle. And that's really what's happening. So the Clintons started funding these university-based children's environmental health centers. It sounds very good. It's going to university researchers. You would expect to get good research to help us figure out what the problems are and what the solutions are. But they're not doing objective science, at least not all of them. And I don't have a problem with doing science in these areas. I have a problem when they become activists. So at each one of these centers that are funded by EPA and the National Institutes for Health, a subsection of that, they're starting with the activism and then they're trying to take the science to prove what their activism is pushing. For instance, organic food. There's not a lot of data to prove that organic food is safer than regular food. But they're pushing organic food, telling women, you're going to be much better off if you buy this more expensive food, rather than telling them how to eat a healthy diet. I mean, that's a much more healthy thing. So this one center focuses on, pregnant women and why some African American women have babies earlier. And there are reasons, and they could be biological, they could be genetic, they could be environmental. Rather than looking for that solution, they're using that to attach a different agenda. Completely unrelated. And they really haven't demonstrated that, eating organic food is going to prevent premature births. And it's a dangerous game because we should be using science to help and advance public health, not as a tool to advance an ideological agenda.
Yeah, our pet theories, whatever they may be. Yeah, that's interesting how they do that. One of the things that I've often noticed is that sometimes they're so sure of the, if you will, the morality of their position, that when you push them on why they're pushing it, it's just because it's the right thing to do. And then you say, but there's no data there. So I thought the right thing to do, would be to, like you said, educate people about nutrition so they can live better lives. Whereas they kind of think like the right thing to do is to push organic vegetables. And I'm like, well, that's fine if you can afford it. But, how about people have to make real choices? If you want to spend more money on vegetables, be my guest. But what if it puts you in a position of having to choose between health care for your child and organic vegetables for your child? And it seems to me that, that's the problem, is they believe too much in their premise. And so there's nothing that doesn't prove they're right.
Right. And, they, at this one center, it's in Atlanta, they're actually teaching pregnant women, they discussed this one program, teaching them how to farm. That's a solution because there are not a lot of grocery stores nearby. Instead of saying, well, if you have to go to the grocery store once a week, you need to buy canned goods and that are, have vegetables and things that have shelf life or frozen food. There have a lot of really weird agendas in there. And this is our taxpayer dollars going in there. Then they're also scaring women about cleaning products and pesticide use in the house. Things that actually have value in protecting people. For instance, pesticides. One, we needed to produce healthy food and make it affordable. And two, we need to fight things like cockroaches and other insects and vermin in the house that present real disease risks. So they're not even looking at the big picture. They don't look at, there's a trade-off. They're just interested in banning the pesticide. And they don't even do this based on science they've conducted, and it's not even related to the field that they're supposed to be studying, which is related to the biology that can impact premature births, which is really a completely different area. But they're just using it as a context, getting these grants. They've got millions and millions of dollars, and then they turn around and they put out what I would say is scary propaganda, and then they do community outreach.
Masquerading as science.
So it's a real big problem, and it's not just, and it's a lot of different universities, at least.
It's interesting. Imagine if they did that with something like chemotherapy, kind of make people like, oh, your hair will fall out. Oh, it's like you always have to look at everything and ask yourself, what's the alternative? Mm-hmm. If you stubbed your toe and someone suggests chemotherapy, they're a quack. Mm-hmm. But if you're dying of cancer, chemotherapy becomes a serious option, and science has demonstrated that in some cases it can be life-saving. Right. But they want to act like, to me, they're just playing games with science and pretend. You see this in climate change stuff. You see this in all kinds of areas where essentially people who claim to be scientists engage in scientific malpractice. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. Here they combine science with kids.
And one of the things you're going to start hearing more of is this idea of translational science, which is this is what they do. They take a legitimate field, which gets down to what you're talking about, chemotherapy. It's finding the science, then applying it to the medicine, and then educating the public. That's a translation of science into improving public health. They're taking that and they're using it to create, at these universities, activist centers that are community outreach centers that are doing the outreach before they do the science. Mm-hmm. And they're going out there and trying to
propaganda, basically.
Yeah, it is propaganda, and it's coming from a university, so people find that to be very compelling. But these are activist centers, and personally, I don't understand why scientific researchers at these universities would do this. But they just have a different agenda, and they're willing to do a lot to get a lot of research dollars coming in. And they're getting millions of dollars to do this stuff.
That makes sense. There's a financial incentive. It's one of the reasons why I sometimes get nervous when I see government getting too involved in science. Mm-hmm. Because we have a long history of powers that be trying to influence scientific inquiry. You can go Copernicus, and you can go, so forth, where people with power who had political power at the time, for whatever reason, use that political power to try to influence or shade the science in a way that suited their worldview or their thoughts. And it seems to me that science needs to be a pursuit of fact and information, and not an agenda. And a scientist's agenda should be truth, not something else. And too often, so anytime I read science and I see that the agenda is there's an agenda there, I go, okay, I know what this is. This is called junk science.
And that's the problem when the government is so involved in picking what science is funded. I mean, theoretically, if the government's going to fund science, the National Institutes for Health, you'd think they would fund somebody looking for cures for real diseases and cancers. But what they're doing is they have this political agenda. This one division at the National Institutes for Environmental Health Science, which is at NIH, has been pushing all this out. So they're funding a political agenda, not a scientific agenda. Now, right now, the EPA is actually looking at cutting it, funds half of this, cutting the funds out, which is a great idea. But of course, they're being criticized as being anti-children and anti-science. But in reality,
they're so predictable.
If this was real hard science that had a lot of value, it should generate private dollars. But instead, they're looking for political funding.
There you go. Well, we're up against a break, so let's promise our listeners we'll be back momentarily. We'll continue our conversation with Angela. But you are listening to Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landreth, and he's Rick Trader. And we are, of course, coming to you on the Conservative Commandos radio network. We are coming to you on the AUN TV network as well. And, of course, always on Al Gore's amazing internet. Don't go away. We will be back.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
We want to welcome you back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with George Landreth and yours truly, Rick Trader. Also want to thank our guest, Angela Logomancini, for holding through that break. She's a senior fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. and we're discussing an article she wrote. And actually, I think, Angela, am I correct? This is part 3 of a series that you've been writing in response to the Trump administration plan to cut the Environmental Protection Agency grants to children's environmental health centers. Angela, I love reports like yours because I wish everybody would read them, because they'll then start to understand the stupidity of where their tax money is going from. Instead of this alarmist stuff, this money that is being wasted could be put to real science, maybe to find a cure for cancer. Am I right, or am I thinking too far outside the box once again?
You're absolutely right. In fact, a lot of this stuff actually detracts from real problems. I said this earlier. For instance, they use this one center put out a video, and it's a little girl, and she's narrating how chemicals are all over the house and we need to be really afraid of them. Mm-hmm. And it is true that dust being mixed up, and if you have peeling lead paint, those are problems. But they make it sound like every house has the same problems, and that you should be not using furniture polish, and you need to only wet mop and not sweep with a broom. It's like kind of ridiculous recommendations. When in fact, there's a certain percentage of people who live in these houses that are in poor repair, and there's peeling lead paint. And if you wanted to focus on a problem, I'd focus on that and really focus in on those, much more limited in scope. Mm-hmm. But instead, they're sort of pushing this broad brush, and it does detract from us focusing on real problems. And in the end, real people can suffer. They also ignore, like they're using this to demonize flame retardants. They're saying your couch is dangerous, it has flame retardants in it. Look for flame retardant-free furniture and furnishings. Well, flame retardants they're a safety tool, and we put them into these products to slow the growth of fire so people can get out.
Right.
Activists say, oh, that's not the case, it doesn't work that well, or there are other ways to do it. Sure, there may be other ways, we may improve how we do it, but just pushing it out and brushing it off and saying there's no value to it and just go without it could be leaving people at risk and making more serious fire risks in homes.
Right. Angela, I'm sure more people have died in fires smoking in bed than have died because of a flame retardant chemical that's on a mattress or a child's pajamas or something like that. I wanted to talk about one of the sections, and by the way, again, a terrific article. We can never cover it here in the short time that we're with you here in the Conservative Commandos. But you and George were talking about this study that focused on the important question, why do African American women deliver babies prematurely more often than others? But, the study is so narrowly focused, and as you say, they're looking to find the answer that they want. They've predetermined what the answer is going to be, so they want to connect the dots to that answer, but they don't deal with the economic or also the social behaviors of the women that are in this study that would cause a premature baby. For instance, smoking or drinking or multiple sexual partners or poor hygiene. They don't go into any of that, do they, Angela?
No, they don't. But there is a field of investigation talking about microorganisms in the human body, and that's where they say they're focusing. Mm-hmm. And actually, there's a legitimate reason to believe there's genetic differences between different races that lead to different microbiomes, they call it, in the human body. Mm-hmm. But it's not necessarily related to the plastic container you're using at home, and it's probably not. And so what they did, again, they took this legitimate area of research and they tried to recast it. They start with the conclusions. They're not, as you said, they're not looking broadly across the whole spectrum of behavior and all these other factors and biology. They're just saying, well, we believe there's some evidence here, there, and everywhere, a small study that might show there's a link, an association. So we're going to assume that's the case, that it's chemicals, and we're going to do the studies to prove it. If you look at their project descriptions, it says things like, we're going to characterize these risks, not we're going to look at the full slate of possibilities and try to determine what they are, or we're going to try to, disprove, because that's usually what scientists are supposed to do. They're supposed to disprove the hypothesis or whatever. So they're really doing this activism stuff, and it is not helpful.
Right. You also write in here, eating organic food is touted amongst stakeholders as a way to reduce health risk, despite the fact that there's no evidence to believe that organic food is healthier. And then you and George were talking about the video. The video even features a stakeholder who trains people how to farm organically in urban settings. Such farming was presented as a way to control how your food is produced and address the limited access to grocery store communities. Angela, in the community that I live in, they have one of these urban gardens, if you want to call them that. And what I see is I don't see a lot of fruits and vegetables. I see a lot of weeds growing. I think it starts out to be a nice hobby for somebody, but when it gets hot and humid and muggy and whatever, and they don't want to use insecticides because, oh no, that's a bad thing, So these things, they go to weeds. Again, another huge waste of government money, and I say this again and again and again. Whenever you're wasting $1 on nonsense, that's $1 that can't be spent on something that will be meaningful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the farming is hard. I mean, that's the thing they should first forget. And can you really farm a full and healthy diet in your backyard? I find that doubtful. And again, farming organically is even harder. That's why in order to feed the world, that's why we do use strategically pesticides and so forth. And not everything is organic. Some things can be, but not everything. Mm-hmm. And if people want to pay more, that's fine. But teaching
starvation is bad for your health.
Yeah, starvation is very bad for your health.
Well, not only that, these urban gardens are small. They're limited, and they're also limited in space size. The amount of food you can get from. Hey, it's fun. If you grow a tomato plant, you get a tomato off it, and you eat a tomato from a plant you grew. That's fun, okay? But the other thing is limiting is climate. You know what I mean? You can only grow fruits and vegetables in your urban garden during a couple of months of the year, and after that, it's you're not going to get very much out of that garden. You also talk about. Another part of your article talks about everyday tips linked to the CChem2 infographic titled Toxins That Your Children's Health Cleaning Products. I would like to make an argument. Yes, you have to use common sense, but by and large, these cleaning products generally in the long run are going to be healthier for children than if they don't use them at all. Again, Angela Logomassini, I got to ask you, am I reacting to something and I'm thinking too far outside the box? And I'm not the brightest bulb on the tree. I'm no scientist. I'm no chemist. I'm no environmentalist. But at the same time, common sense says if it's good, you do it. If it's not good, you don't do it. But to spend how much in government money?
Millions of dollars. I mean, that one center I know is well over $5 million, but tracing all the dollars isn't easy. And that may be just half of it. I don't know, because they don't make it easy to trace it all. But like you say, common sense. What's really a risk, and how would they really help pregnant women? Maybe teach them about, foodborne illness and shelf life, and not, leaving things too long in the refrigerator. Hand washing, sanitation, cleaning your sink. All of those things actually are real risks.
Yeah, where I learned hand washing? At home and in school. My mother and father would holler at me, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. Hey, Angela, we want to thank you so much for coming on to Conservative Commandos radio show. We love our guests. You guys at the Competitive Enterprise Institute do such a great job. Could you please tell our audience where they could read your study, follow the work you do, and also find out more about the Competitive Enterprise Institute?
Well, they can check out cei.org, and we have a whole host of issues there, and they can just click through, and we have a blog at cei.org/blog. I believe that's the correct address. It's linked on the first page. Cover everything from science to technology.
Angela, if I could ask you just one more question before we go here. Somebody who gets as mad as I do when they read something like this, what can we do?
Well, first of all, don't be fooled. I mean, that's the number one thing. And then maybe educate yourself. And when you get in conversations with people, help them see that there's a different perspective. Because people are just barraged with this kind of junk all the time, all day long. And it's good to just bring a little perspective and encourage people to do a little more reading and not accept the prevailing wisdom on these issues.
That's good advice. Angela Logomassini, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless. And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show with George Landreth and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. George and I will be back with more right after this break.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Well, George, that just about wraps it up for today, and I want to thank you for sitting in today as my co-host. Please tell our audience how they could follow you, find out what you're doing in writing, and find out more about Frontiers of Freedom.
Absolutely. Well, our website's pretty easy. It's just ff.org, two F's like Frontiers Freedom.org. And then you can follow me on Twitter at glandreth, GLANDRITH. And most of my stuff will be up there posted and so forth. So those are good ways to follow me up. But I have to say, we had some great guests, and I really appreciate them not only being prepared, but just really being just interesting and factual and insightful. First, we had Curtis Houck with Newsbusters, managing editor for Newsbusters, and just talked about kind of how the congressional Democrats seem to be treated like they're special privileged characters, and the Republicans get largely either ignored or attacked, but nothing in between. And then, of course, we had Patrice Onwuka and with the Independent Women's Forum, and she just, I thought, gave us a great conversation on a bunch of issues, kind of again related, but the idea of a parody and when the left is parodied, how they go ape. And absolutely will not abide it, whether it's Twitter or elsewhere. But of course, you can, libel,
George,
conservatives.
do you remember how the left, how the liberal media got their undies in a bunch when somebody talked about Hillary Clinton's frumpy dress or not her dress, her pantsuit. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. How dare you?
How dare you?
You know, that was like almost like it was blasphemy or something.
Yeah.
And then, of course, finally, we concluded with Angela Logomassini, and she's with the Competitive Enterprise Institute. Great conversation about junk science and the trying to convert science into an agenda-driven policy, politics kind of stuff, and how they sometimes will try to use kids to make their agenda-driven science seem more plausible. So I thought really just some great interviews.
All right. But for right now, we are out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.